welcome back to MarketBeat's financial news and analysis. We are glad to have you all tuning in today. In this video, we'll be discussing the current state of artificial intelligence. We're going to talk about whether AI is just another bubble, how investors can get started in AI, and what to expect from investing in this sector. We'll explore the ethical concerns being raised about AI, as well as the risks associated with investing in emerging technologies. So if you're interested in investing in this exciting sector, keep watching as we explore the opportunities. Welcome back, Chris. I'm excited to chat with you about AI today. I couldn't think of a better way to start my morning, honestly.
Well, it's nice to be back, Laycee.
All right, Chris, what is going on with artificial intelligence stocks? I'm starting to get that FOMO feeling. I know there's a little bit of an age difference here, Chris, so that means fear of missing out if you didn't pick that up.
Well, now, Laycee, that's a little bit harsh to start the day. I do have children.
Sorry.
I'm very, very, very aware of what FOMO means. But
okay, good to know.
Let's talk about AI. So when I think about what's going on in AI today, the Ernest Hemingway's novel, The Sun Also Rises, came to my mind. And that's because in that novel, he writes the famous dialogue where one person asks another person, how did you become bankrupt? And the person that's being asked responds two ways: gradually, then suddenly.
That's just scholar, Chris, but you're right. That does seem to ring true.
Well, so what's going on in AI is it's the result of years and years of gradual improvement. But for a lot of investors, they see ChatGPT and it feels like, boom, it's happened all at once. And now all of a sudden,
where did it come from? Yeah.
Right, exactly. Where did it come from? And there's that's where it leads to that fear of missing out. Now everybody's trying to jump in thinking, okay, we've got to get in on this before the opportunity gets away from itself. The truth for investors is likely to be somewhere in between those two. It's certainly not, AI is certainly not at its infancy anymore, but it's not, I don't think it's where it's going to be in a few years. And investors need to be mindful of that. As you and I talked about with ChatGPT, well, we've talked about ChatGPT actually a couple of times. Even the owner, or the creator of ChatGPT has said it still has some limitations. It's still not quite ready for prime time. And you also have heard about ethical complaints, not complaints necessarily, but ethical considerations being made about the output of ChatGPT only being good as the input being put into ChatGPT. So there's still some work to be done in the back end of that.
So is this just another bubble, or how would we know if it's a bubble, Chris?
I hesitate to call it a bubble right now. There is something there. So, I think when I think of a bubble, I think of one of the immediate ones that comes to my mind is the cannabis bubble from a few years ago, where a lot of these companies were just any company that went public that had anything to do with cannabis, the stocks were going higher and there was no revenue and there was no profit and there was no revenue or profit for years to come, but they were all exploding higher because of this promise. And that's not really what's happening in this space right now. But while there's no reason why I think investors shouldn't invest in AI right now, there should be some caution, because this isn't going to move in a straight line. And if the prices start to exceed the opportunity, then yes, a bubble could form. So far, the economy is proving to be remarkably resilient. And the NASDAQ has been leading the way in that regard. Now, even this morning, we've had the PPI numbers come out. I just looked before we got on. I'm looking right now, and the NASDAQ's actually kind of hanging in there. I think it's off of its lows from earlier. So don't know what necessarily to make of that. What we know is that the economy could change very quickly. Why does that matter for AI stocks? Well, tech companies have already initiated layoffs, and any scaling up of AI is going to come at the expense of their bottom line. And this is a year when bottom line results may be very precious to companies, especially as there's some talk about us going into an earnings recession.
All right, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that want to jump on the train, but they just haven't yet. Chris, how would investors get started if they're not already investing in AI? I'm going to take some notes for myself here too, if you don't mind.
Not at all. So, I would say this. This is a sector that's best suited for investors who have a fairly high risk tolerance.
Okay.
Again, I don't think it's a sector to stay away from, but it is a sector that is still, I think, going to be pretty volatile here. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to give you a few ways that investors could think about investing in this. The most obvious way, and perhaps the one that might have the best risk reward, is by investing in pure play AI stocks. MarketBeat writers have been all over this recently. I would point viewers to an article that Pat Crawley wrote recently about 3 pure play AI stocks. It was C3.ai, SoundHound, and BigBear.ai. And I also know that Jai Yu has also written an article in MarketBeat about these companies. That would be a great place for investors who are new to AI to start their research. For what it's worth, if I were going to be investing in AI in these stocks, I'd be needing to do a little bit of research myself. This is a emerging technology, and it's hard to know if any of these companies are good investments unless you really understand the underlying technology. Now, how do you get around that? Well, aside from taking a crash course in something like AI for Dummies, which would be me, I raise my hand, you could invest in some other big tech names. This would be the Apples, the Amazons, the Microsofts, Alphabet. We've already heard that Alphabet's making moves to start scaling up Bard, which is their response to ChatGPT, because they see the threat that that's providing. So that's a good way of getting exposure to AI without directly investing in the pure play companies. As you and I talked about Microsoft before, Microsoft's investing in ChatGPT. So when you're making an investment in Microsoft, you're indirectly making an investment into something like OpenAI. Now, having said that, the potential downside for some investors is that all of the companies that I just named, they have significant weighting in the NASDAQ 100. In fact, I think the companies I named, and I think if you threw Tesla in there, that would make up like 50% of the NASDAQ 100. What that means is that these are large companies. These have large market caps. Investors probably aren't going to get the same bang for their buck that they might get if they invested in a pure play company, but they're also not getting as much of the risk. A third option would be investors could just go to invest in an ETF. Kathy Wood has a fund, as you might expect. The name here is the ARC Autonomous Technology and Robotics ETF. These things always have such long names, but there are many other ETFs in this space to consider if investors want to go this route. So obviously with an ETF, the benefit is investors are investing in a basket of companies that make up this index. The caution there is that any ETF is only as good as its fund manager. So you have to trust that the fund manager is picking the right names, because you're going to have to invest with the good as well as the bad. So there are my 3 options for you.
Great options, Chris. Thanks for sharing that. All right, guys, that's all the time we have for today. As we discussed today, investing in artificial intelligence can be a high risk, high reward proposition. It's a rapidly emerging sector, and investors should offer some caution to it. While there's no doubt that AI will play a significant role in shaping the future, it's important to remember that the technology is not yet perfect and there are ethical concerns to consider. If you like today's stock analysis, please go ahead and subscribe to our channel and leave us a comment down below and let us know your thoughts on the AI sector and if you'll be taking the leap to invest. Before we go, I want to quickly remind everyone about the exclusive discount our viewers are able to receive on MarketBeat All Access. It's the best-in-class investing tools. You can click the link I've included in the description below, and you can get 50% off your subscription to MarketBeat All Access on top of a free 30-day trial. With real-time stock market analysis and expert recommendations, you'll never miss a beat again. Sign up for your free trial soon, because sooner the better to make the most of your investments. Trust me, you're going to want to check it out. All right, Chris, I truly appreciate your time today. Thanks again for sharing your knowledge with us.
You're welcome, Laycee. I look forward to talking to you again.
See ya.